Okay, let's start. Hey, Rick, how are
Hello.
you?
Hello, nice to be here.
Thank you very much for taking the time. Yeah, we're trying to bring some interesting guests in our Wolfi's talks, and obviously we know us over a couple of years now. We just spoke about it that your first professional, the second professional race of your career was Dubai Tour, and you had immediately the right team, the winning team with Taylor Finney, I think, who won the time trial. I just want to acknowledge you for some really big achievements. You've been U23 Flanders champion. You have been German champion. You've done the Tour de France a couple of times. You have done the Giro Italia. You were one of the earliest or the youngest professional riders, turning with 19. You became pro. You were one of the youngest riders completing the Giro Italia. Yeah, fantastic to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Yeah, nice to be here and looking forward to a nice talk.
Thank you. I just want to maybe speak a little bit about your role in the team and how your position is. And as you like the classic races, and you're one of the lead out men for the sprint. At the moment, you're participating, or you're in the team Israel cycling team, and you're working with Andre Greipel. How is this to work with Andre, which is such a famous sprinter? How's your work which you have to do there?
It's a really good experience. I mean, I know Andre now for a couple of years. We're living together in Cologne, so we are also training nearly every day together here. We have a nice training group. Also, Nils Polic, for example, is in this group, and another young German rider, Juri Hollmann, who's riding for Team Movistar. So we are 4 professionals living here close to each other, training nearly every day together. And coming back to Andre, he's the most successful rider still in the peloton at the moment, with more than 160 wins. So for me, he's for sure a guy I'm looking up to, and if he gives advice, I'm listening to him. And at the moment we cannot race, but I try to make. I want to win at least 1 or 2 races with him together, and I hope we can still do this.
And what's your position in the race with him? Are you the last lead out man, or where is your position in the lead out train?
In Tour Down Under this year, I was the last guy in front of him.
Okay.
Normally I've been, for the last couple of years, I've always switched between second last and last guy, and in the lead out train. So so I'm always there in the last kilometer of the race to bring the sprinter in position or to lead him out. And as well, like you mentioned already, in the classic races, I'm the guy who brings a saved rider who gets saved a little bit for the final, and then when the real final starts, I need to bring my captains in position for the key moment of the race. Like in Roubaix, I did last year. I did it with Tony Martin or Nils Polic as well. And on a good day, I also can win a race. So I think I'm a good rider to have in a team. Yeah.
Yes, I saw you had a 2019, beginning of 2019, you had a great sprint in the Tour of Yorkshire. And I think it was very impressive when you just went from the front and you had, I don't know, 3-4 bike lengths in between. So this is when you have no other person to lead out, you have the good sprint, and you can win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, last year was a nice experience for me as well, because normally Marcel Kittel was supposed to be there, and then in the last moment he got sick or something, so he couldn't race. And then I got my chance, and then for sure it was nice to show the team that I also can win a race. At the moment I just have 2 professional wins, but if I get a chance, I'm normally always up there in the top 10 or top 5 in a sprint. And if it's been a hard race before, I also can win a sprint. I know that, yeah.
You've spoken about Nils Polic and the Roubaix race, and I always wonder when I'm riding on Swift on my text trainer, is road feel preparing us for anything like Roubaix? If you have the road feel adjusted and the trainer vibrates, is this anything like it or not really?
No, you can't train for Paris-Roubaix. You also, when we do the recon 2 or 3 days before, and already then you feel okay. We just did, like, for example, 60 kilometer of the race, and you feel it the day after already in the bones, and especially also in your hands. So then you know, okay, when you do the Hell of the North on Sunday, for sure until Wednesday, so 3 days after, you can still feel it in the body. And every rider is different, but for me, example, I always get blisters on my hands.
I saw that.
No matter what I do, in every time I passed I did Roubaix until now, I always had blisters on my hand after, no matter if I wear gloves or not. Yeah, it's just something you have to live with.
Yes, I saw your hands. I saw an interview after the race, and you were showing your hands, and there was almost no skin left, which I thought was unbelievable. How many days does it take until you really feel you want to get back on the bike and you think about another Roubaix, or is this fairly quickly? Because obviously, as you described, the pain is very dramatic, and obviously you get shaken all the way. Your body must ache for many days, but do you think about another edition fairly quickly, or is it rather that you feel like, okay, no, I'm not going to do this again?
Roubaix, for example, is a special feeling. For sure, you're happy when you cross the finish line, but yeah, already 2 or 3 weeks after, when you think back to the race, you're like, actually, it's a pity we just have it once a year. Like, it's such a spectacular and cool race. It's crazy. It's just crazy to do it. And even I did in 2018 the Tour de France when we had a Roubaix stage.
Yes.
Even this is already hard, but you cannot really compare to the one-day race. It's a very special feeling. And luckily for me, always Paris-Roubaix is normally the last race of the classic campaign. So then you get 2 or 3 weeks off. And then you start preparing for the Tour de France, for example, or for the GIRO d'Italia. So it's always also good for the head to know, okay, now this is one day I go all in and I need to suffer through it, but then I have 2 or 3 weeks off. It's good to know that you don't have to race the Monday after.
And at the beginning of these pavé sections, how early does this start that the speed picks up? And what approximately is the wattage and power you need to produce to stay in the pack and maybe to bring your riders in the best position? We always see this, obviously, they're speeding up, that everybody wants to be early onto the pavé. But how is the situation? How do you make sure that Nils or Tony are on your wheel? They communicating with you? You go over the radio? Or is it something that they scream to you? Because you have to focus on the street, but how do you stay connected?
I think this is something you learn over the years. It always depends, of course, if you have headwind or backwind, for example, because Paris-Roubaix, of course, goes from A to B. So the first big factor is already the wind, if you have tailwind or crosswind. So for example, last year when I did with Niels, we had a strong crosswind, and it's always a hell of a fight to get in the breakaway. So for example, then the first pavé starts after 90 kilometer. So you're like, okay, we can chill out for the first 1.5 hour. And then when we come like 20 or 15, 10K before the first pavé, then we turn the head on and we start concentrating. And then normally it's like riding on a tandem. I would never go through gaps where I just know, okay, I can slip through, but the guy behind me cannot. So This is my job officially to think for Niels also, just to ride through gaps where he also can follow me and then bringing him in position. This is not easy, but this is something you learn. And Roubaix is crazy because it depends on the race. Sometimes you have an early breakaway and you can really take it easy under the first pavé section. But the last 2 times I did it, for example, there was never a breakaway before the first pavé, and then actually the peloton rides into the first pavé section like it's the finish line, like it's crazy. And then you hit it, and then okay, now it's 160 kilometer with couple sections every 5K, and but like within seconds you are in the final of the race. It's really totally crazy. The race is 6 hours, but it feels like 1 hour maybe, and it goes very fast, and it's hard to describe.
Amazing. But you enjoy the one-day races, yeah? What's your favorite race of the season?
I would like, from all the one-day races, it's definitely Paris-Roubaix. But for me, it's always special to race in Germany also, like a race like Frankfurt or Hamburg. I really like to do, and yeah, I'm super happy that since 2 years, Tour of Germany is back. So that's always a special feeling to ride on in your home country.
What do you consider so far the biggest achievement on the bike for you? What was the best day you had on your bike?
The best day, of course, when you talk about the biggest achievements, it's personally, of course, a win. Like you already said, I won a stage in the Tour of Yorkshire. I won a stage in the Tour of Austria. These are days I like to think back to, but it's not always the wins. I also like to think back on the days where I did a good lead out, and for example, Marcel won a race, or Alexander Kristoff won a lot of races in 2017 when I lead him out. I like to think back on the Frankfurt race in 2017 when it was like also 4 degrees and rain all day, and we arrived with a really small group to the finish, and I made a lead out for Kristoff, and he won the race, and I finished second behind him. So this was also a really special day, like a 1-2, and in like kind of a home race. And but still, like the day which hit me the most emotional was definitely when I finished my first Tour de France on the Champs-Élysées in 2017 as well, because yeah, obviously I've been there a lot of times as the kid with my dad, but coming there on like with your own strengths after 3 weeks of suffering, you do it with your own legs and your own way. You come to Paris and you finish your first Tour de France, and it was like, it felt for me like a circle finished somehow, and it was. It brings tears to my eyes when I did it, when I finished there, and this was emotional. This was the best day. Yeah.
Very nice, very good. That's very nice. Yeah, you have been many times with your dad. Obviously, you have been there. You had green hair on the podium, and I mean, this is the time when I was watching the events and saw you with your dad on stage. That was always very nice to see. And I always thought if one day you will become a cyclist, and if this would be something where you would try to follow with the lead of your father, and I think quite a challenge to get into the sport with such a famous last name. So how was this for you growing up in the cycling scene? Did you miss your dad a lot?
Yeah, for sure. My mom was a person who raised me up. My dad was like me now, traveling a lot, doing a lot of races, and it was not easy when I played football before, and I think I started racing my bike when I was like 13 years old, and just for fun in the beginning. But when I was like 16 years, I started to get good. I went to the national team in Germany, and then I got really competitive. I I wanted to be good, and I really always had in my head, okay, I will follow the footsteps of my dad. I'm going to be a great cyclist for sure. This was clear in my head.
Okay.
And like you already mentioned, for example, in the juniors and in the U23, I was really in the world class. Like I was competing with Alaphilippe and Caleb Ewan. I was on the same level with them. Like you said, I won the U23 Flanders. I was 18 years old. I was U23 champion. And then I turned professional with BMC. And then, like, when you just with the professionals, like, just the best riders compete against each other. And then was, for example, like, when I realized, okay, I'm a good rider, but I'm not the world's best. Like, I'm not a Caleb Ewan, for example, who wins 10 races a year. And it was not easy. Then I started struggling a little bit, to be honest, because it's not a nice feeling when you look in people's eyes and you can see a little bit the disappointment. They're like, yeah, he's good, but he's not as good as his dad. That's not a nice feeling. And I really struggled with this feeling, and I had to deal with it. And after a while, I was like, man, you are not the second Eric Zabel. You are Rick Zabel. Like you have to go your way. You have to make your
How long
way.
ago is this?
This was maybe when I was 22, 23. Like when you're young, it's like you said, I turned professional when I was 19. I just had cycling in my head, cycling. And if I had a good race on the weekend, I was in a good mood. And when I had a bad race, I was in a bad mood. So
Yes.
I was really like, I was a 100% cyclist. And but I was not a happy person in that time because it was like too much. I was too competitive. And now I'm 26 and for sure cycling is still a big part of my life, but I'm also into a lot of other stuff. And I know this chapter will end one day, and then I'm still me, and I have to go my way. So I don't take it too serious anymore. Of course, you have to take it serious to be a professional, but I try to enjoy it more. And it's not like you're not a better person if you win the Tour de France, for example. It's nice, sure, but it doesn't make you a cool guy if you're not cool, for example. So that's the way I deal with it. Yeah.
Very good. You were speaking about the beginning when you said your father was the inspiration. So what is your first inspiration in cycling? Was it, okay, you grew up with cycling and your dad was obviously a big sprint star in Germany and all over the world. And your first memories you have for cycling is Tour de France, or which race you can remember, or what is the first event you can remember cycling wise?
My mom took me to a lot of races with when I was a child, I was really often at the races with my parents, and I always enjoyed it. And of course, I remember being at the Tour de France. I remember being at the Tour of Germany in Frankfurt. We was always there when the German races happened. But back in the days, I didn't realize like that my father is a star and that he's very good. Like it was just normal for me that like who won today? Yeah, Daddy did. It's like yeah, like always. It was just kind of normal for me. And I was a bigger fan of Mario Cipollini. I really liked Cipollini, and I was kind of angry on my dad when he beat him in a sprint, for example. I was like,
Okay.
like, I wanted Cipollini to win. Why did you win? But of course, when I got older and I got more into cycling, I realized like what my dad achieved, like, that he's
Yes.
a big star. Yeah, but this I just realized when I was older.
So you see, this is one of the questions I have is like, who was in your head when little Rick was sprinting in a race and you were playing kind of some mind games? So it was Mario Cipollini in your head, yeah?
Yeah. I remember, for example, when I don't know how old I was, but I have two older cousins.
Yeah.
And when we started riding our bikes, we always picked the rider. Like, for example, my cousin was Eric Zabel, my dad, and I was Mario Cipollini. And another one was Oscar Freire, for example.
Yes.
And then we made our little races against each other. And once I won, and I raised up my hands and I crashed and broke my arm like this, for example. These are for sure things I remember.
I remember when you said just Oscar Freire, when Eric was, or your father was riding, it was Milan San Remo, and I think he won the race almost, and then he just celebrated a little too early, and then Oscar Freire came from the other side. I think it was against Petacchi, and I think he had Petacchi beaten, and Freire came from the other side and beat him. And I thought this was a heartbreaking moment for me. How long did it take you there to recover from this moment?
A lot. I was there with my mom. It was 2004 in San Remo. And I mean, he won that race already 4 times before, so it's not that bad.
Yes.
But of course, it was not nice. Everybody was laughing about him. But now the funny thing about this is, like, if you ask people how many times he won San Remo, like 20 years later, nobody really knows. But everybody knows that he once was second behind Freire because he celebrated too early. So it's funny how the mind works, and you will always remember that, but not how many times you won it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. You went to boarding school in Erfurt. That was a sports boarding school, and you were in the cycling academy there. Was this your own decision? Was it your father, your mom, or when did you change from a regular school to boarding school, and how was that?
It was my own decision. I always had my own head, and like I said, when I got good and competitive, when I was maybe 14, 15, I knew like, okay, I need to train more. I need to have a more structured life to get better. And with a normal school, it will be hard. So I looked a little bit, and yeah, I found that boarding school. My mom and me, we went there for a weekend. So I did a test week or something, and I decided, okay, that's what I want. I want to go there. I want to train with a training group. I want to train structured. I want to live like a professional. And yeah, I went to the school, and it's for me. I think this was maybe the best decision in my life because it it was just a life lesson in my opinion. I was when I in a very young age I had to deal with problems like other people don't have to do, and
Yeah.
yeah, combining school and training and all the problems a 16-year-old guy has was not easy, but I made my way, and I think it made me a stronger human for sure.
No, I'm sure that that's difficult. I can imagine, especially boys in this age are quite tough with each other. And obviously, you come there, you're a rookie, and then I was listening to a few things. You were in the first floor. It had 4 floors, the building, and then the first guys came in there, and then you made your way up into the ranks. And I'm sure it was a little bit of a. Obviously, I think I'm sure people were really jealous that your father was Eric. The same time, maybe that's a little bit of a burden as well when you have such a famous father and you go in a cycling group and so on. I heard there was an interesting story with the recumbent bike.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, I was always already, people looked at me because of my name and my dad's story, and I was always a guy who yeah, I was not hiding. I was, yeah, I was in the spotlight, for example. And I have to say, I enjoyed it somehow. And but like you said, I had this special bike in pink, and said, whatever, I'm gonna go with that bike to school. I don't care what other people think. Like I like it, and that's what I'm gonna do. And of course, people like you or they hate you. There's nothing in between, really. And I realized that pretty quick that people look different at me because of my name and because they think my dad is a star or my parents are rich or whatever. But yeah, I didn't really care about it. I always said, I'm Rick, and you can talk to me, and I will talk to you back. Maybe we are friends, maybe we are not, but let's give it a try.
Very good, very cool. As well, you mentioned that at the beginning you had, because there was lots of food available and stuff and all the sweets, you were a little bit overweight. And then you went to the sports test, and then you realized, okay, that you need to put more work in. Is it still an issue? You have issues to keep your weight down, or now with all the training, or what's your weakness when it comes to food?
I like Haribo a lot. What is the word for it in English?
Gummy
Haribo
bear.
is gummy
Gummy
bear.
bears?
Gummy
Yes.
bear. This is my weakness for sure. And yeah, for example, my normal weight is 77 kilo, which is good for classics.
Yeah.
But when you do a grand tour, it's better to have a little bit less, like 75.5 is a better weight. And yeah, then from losing this 1.5 kilogram from April to July doesn't sound that hard, but it's not easy for me. Like I'm not overweight anymore, and I'm not fat, of course not. But yeah, it's not easy for me, this nutrition thing. I have to keep an eye on that.
Mhm. And who would you consider when you think back in the school? There was one name you mentioned, Michael Beckett, who was a coach. He seemed to be having a big influence on you in your sports career. What was so special about him?
I think he realized pretty quick how my mind works and how my character works. Like he he gave me a lot of challenges, and because I was competitive, and I wanted to show everybody like I'm the best, and I will show you. I will go my own way. But still, he gave me a lot of advice and just brings me in the right direction. and he was always, yeah, giving me support. But also on the other side, for example, when I already said with 17 or 18 years, like, I'm going to be a professional, like, I don't care about school. He was also there to say, man, like, also this, like, you should also try to be good in the school, because one bad crash, one bad injury, and your dream is over. So be a little bit realistic. And but he had a special way to talk to me. For example, when my dad, for example, would tell me this, I would say, come on, shut up, Dad. Like I will go my way. But I think everybody has persons in his life who have a special, like, feeling to talk to you, and he was one of that guys. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. What do you think when you speak about his personality, or about your personality, that he could deal with this? What was your strength, or what would you describe today as a strength you have? And what is the weakness in your personality that you know about?
Strength is really that when I want something, I can pretty focus really good on that, and follow that goal, and I'm really going for it. But I'm really what is ungeduldig in English? Ungeduldig.
Impatient.
I'm really impatient. Like yeah, if I focus for something and I go for it, I want to see really fast results. Also, if it takes months or years, I'm getting tired of that. And also in my, like, I can follow my goals to 100% if I see sense in that. If I see a sense in what I'm doing, I'm totally into it. But if I start thinking about, okay, why I'm doing that, like, I don't think that brings me further in my life, then it's already done. Like, then then I'm off, that's for sure.
And the motivation for training, is it sometimes difficult for you to get out, or you feel like you just have it in you, enjoy cycling so much that you feel like, okay, I'm getting out? I know you've just been back from a ride now. I think you got a new...
When I see for example, my dad there, he's still riding every day his bike. I can tell you that will not happen with me. I'm very motivated to ride my bike, and I like it and I enjoy it. But for example, now in times of Corona, I'm already like for 2 months in Cologne now, and now it starts to get hard, because every ride I did already 5 times. Like once I ride left, once I ride right, and then straight. So it needs to be a little bit fun for me as well. Like, I like to do training camps, for example. When you're 2 weeks somewhere, I can go every day 6 hours and train really hard. But then I also know after 2 weeks it's finished and I go home again. I can take it a little bit easier. But yeah, for me, for sure, fun and patience is there. But if I compare it with my dad, for example, there his life is really cycling 100%, and for me, there's a line, there's a limit, and then I also don't like to see my bike anymore.
It was very funny when I met your dad for the first time. We were in Qatar, and we had a German television team. They make an article about people leaving Germany and moving to Dubai. And we just had an article in one German TV, I think in Pro 7, and then we walked into the lobby and I saw your dad, and I walked up to him and I said, "Oh my God, Eric Zabel, and you're such a hero." And I said, "I know you from TV." And he told me, and I said, no, I know you from TV. And it was so funny that we had that moment where it was just nice. I want to see as well, you had a moment maybe in cycling where it was really tough, and it really shaped your character, and you learned something which you still cherish for now, for your regular life. Or what has cycling taught you, what you have in your regular daily life now?
Cycling told me that life is fair. I mean, cycling shows you that pretty hard. That means if you train and if you are fit, you get results and life is good to you. But if you're sitting at home and you don't train, you come to the races and you get your ass kicked. And like I said, like in my cycling life, for example, the way was always up until I turned professional. then it was not that easy because I had high expectations from everybody on me, and I was still happy. I did my way, and I finished all my first 3 Grand Tours. I achieved all my goals. Like I want to do Paris-Roubaix. 1 year later, I did Paris-Roubaix, and then the same with Flanders. I achieved everything. But then, for example, in 2018, there was the first year when I was like, now I'm already in the game for 5 years. I know what to do. I can take it a little bit easier. Or I thought I understood the game, and I took it a little bit easier. And you come to the Tour de France, and boom, you're out. I didn't finish stage, and it was first Grand Tour. I was like, I didn't finish. And in the evening, I was sitting in my hotel room, of course, very disappointed and sad. And I thought about all that, and I bring out my laptop and I checked all my training, and I was like, man, you also trained less than the other years. Like it's not a surprise if you're honest to yourself. And this is a moment when you say, okay, man, like you need to be more focused again. And this is for me, this is the biggest lesson cycling told me, that if you work for something, you can do it, but you also have to go the whole way. There are no shortcuts.
Very good. I like that. Yeah, we have it. This is one of our logos. Is no shortcuts is on our shirts. Yeah, that's true. What do you think would your teammates say about Rick Zabel when they speak about him?
I think my teammates would just say good things about me. No, of course not. I also can be a very maybe annoying person for sure, but normally most teammates are quite happy with me. Or also when you, for example, change teams, and then you get in touch with new people and new riders, and it's always a special feeling that they say, man, like I never talked to you, and like I never knew you, and I always had like this my opinion about you.
Yeah.
But now, since we're teammates, like I see you in a completely different light. You're a really cool guy. Mm-hmm. Because, for example, I'm always a guy who likes to talk on the table. For example, like in the morning at the breakfast before a race, everybody is focused for the race, so everybody's doing a little bit his thing, and then you do the race, so you don't have lunch.
Yeah.
Actually, on a race day, the only time the whole team is together is the dinner. Okay. And I hate it, for example, when we are sitting there and everybody's on his phone and nobody's talking. So I'm always one of the guy who, tries to talk, bring out stories. When something stupid happened to me, I tell the story that people laugh, and I ask other people. I think that's really important I think I'm a good guy in a team to bring conversation on the table, and
which is important. Yeah, which is important for a team spirit. Yeah, I think that's
very important.
Yes. Do you feel like when you say preparing for a race, and in the morning you have a certain ritual you follow when it comes to a race? You're maybe a bit superstitious about some things, abergläubisch, that you prepare for?
No, not anymore. When I was younger and I turned professional, I was really superstitious because you're not experienced. And for example, when you go out with the white leg first out of the bed, you're like, today is a good day because yesterday I did it and I had a good result. So you keep doing it for all the season. But like I said, now the longer I'm in the game, I know that it has nothing to do with luck. For sure, you need luck, but it's all preparation to come there, and it's all on you. Like it's not like nobody. When you want to go in the breakaway, it's no luck to go there. You have to attack. Like it's not that you're sitting in there and like, maybe I have a good day and I go in the breakaway. Nobody gives you a gift. Like you have to go out and you have to take it. So now I realized like that. No matter what, if the salt falls away on the table, for example, the Italians hate it when the salt gets over. They're like, okay, today is over. My day is over. Like, man, like this has nothing to do with your day. Get this out of your head. Just go out and race. Yeah.
Very good. And is it something where you feel like you change your personality when you put your helmet on and you buckle your helmet? Is there another example? Or is it coming later in the race when it comes to the last 15, 20 kilometers? Is there a personality change? Can you really feel you psych yourself up and get more aggressive?
In the final, yes. When I start the race, except of if it's an uphill finish, then I'm afraid.
Yeah.
then because I know I will suffer. But for the most of the starts, I'm quite relaxed. And I talk with my teammates, or I talk with other people I know in the peloton, and I have a good time. I always try to stay as long as possible relaxed in a race. But then for sure, when on a sprint day, when the last 20K are starting, I know, okay, now it's the moment to be focused, to be ready, and then I can also switch really into a focus mood, and then I'm also aggressive. Like, of course, like if I want to be second in the final corner, yeah, I want to be second and not eighth. So
Yes.
then you have to fight for it.
I think it's quite amazing now that the cameras on the bikes. I think it gives a completely different view to a peloton, and you can really see how much pushing and shoving and speaking and things is going on. It's quite daunting when you see this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. It's great that you have the cameras on the bike, and when I'm in the hotel in my bed in the evening after the race, and sometimes you look the footages from the day, it
Yes.
looks even like it's like, oh my god, like I was doing the sprint with these guys, like, are they crazy? But
Yeah.
in that moment when you're there and you see the last kilometers coming, yeah, your head is off. You're just following your instinct and try to do your job. Yeah.
Yes. You discovered Swift now. You haven't done Swift before, but I think now you're going on Swift, and you're riding in groups there. You're riding with the team now. You've been in kind of quarantine, or are you mostly training by yourself?
In Germany, it's still allowed to ride outside, so I try to ride, or I'm riding most of the times. I'm riding outside, but yeah, like you said, in 2018 in November, I broke my collarbone in training, and coming back from the injury, I started to using Swift. Yeah, since then I'm riding with Swift, and especially now in this time, like you mentioned, my team, the Eastwell Startup Nation, we are doing every week on the weekend. We're doing like a fan ride, and
Yes.
for everyone who's participating, our sponsor is donating a mask against the coronavirus.
Oh,
So it's
fantastic.
even for a good cause. And of course, I'm always participating in these rides because it's just nice to see once a week your teammates, even if it's just online. But it's a nice feeling to ride with thousands of people there, and also if it's raining, for example, I like to go on my balcony and riding Swift a few hours. It's better than to ride in the rain.
Fantastic. And you mentioned an injury, and I just remembered when the Tour de France was in Germany in 2017. Valverde, in the time trial, Valverde did slide in a corner and he broke his kneecap on a fence. And I saw footage that you fell in the same corner, and you told me that you just ripped off 2 ligaments in your shoulders, and you still finished the tour in 2017. I think this is just unbelievable.
Yeah, also for me, looking back on that tour, it wasn't a nice time. I had to suffer a lot to finish that tour.
Wow.
But also there was just one option for me. Like it is my first Tour de France, or it was my first Tour de France.
Yes.
It was starting in Germany.
Yes.
After like 20 years or more.
Yes.
And yeah, I crashed on that first day. So like from all this happiness you had to be there, you're pretty sad because, oh man, this is not good to have this injury now. But yeah, I slept one night over it. I woke up the next day. I said, I will try it, and I finished the second stage. And then you think about day by day. You think day by day, and then somehow you're in the second week and you think, okay, man, now it's just 1 week until Paris. I can do it. And also back in that time, it felt like the whole world is watching me. Like I said, as a German, your first Tour de France in Germany, it was like I had no other option than to finish. Like in my head, I was like, oh no, I'm not giving up. Like I have to go through.
Fantastic. You mentioned Swift as well, and when you're on Swift, you distract yourself with some music. You listen to podcasts. What are you doing? What's on your playlist, on Spotify playlist? What are the top hits right now? Or what music you listen to?
Oh, it's hard. I like a lot of music. No matter if it's rock or rap. And I like 80s. I like 80s, man. Like the classics, it's our 80s classics I always like to listen to. My favorite band is Biffy Clyro. It's a Scottish band.
Yeah.
I like really the music they do. But I'm also really into Red Hot Chili Peppers, for example. And this is music I'm listening to. But actually on Swift, I'm just listening to the music and or sometimes I'm also just writing because it's quite fun. Like normally I'm writing 1.5 hours, but you have a lot to do. Like I try to hunt the king of mountains there, or I do a little battle with some other people there because of course when they see your little pro badge, people are always following you. So I get annoyed of that and I try to like drop them. That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
I have people can obviously ask questions, and I have two questions now about your food. What do you eat in the morning before training?
Normally, some bowl of cereals with a banana and some chia seeds, for example, and some oats. That would be like a good bowl of that. Makes me happy. As well as in Germany, in good old Germany, you can buy good bread. So some bread with cheese and ham. I'm also always into that. Yeah.
Very good. And another one, which Haribo is your favorite? And when you open the bag, do you finish the bag or can you resist?
Oh, if I'm open it, it's finished. That's for sure. Like on a race day, for sure, it's finished. When I'm home and I'm hard to myself, I can resist from then it takes maybe 2 days until it's finished. but that's it. And yeah, the normally the gold beers, the Haribo gold beers are my favorite.
Okay, the classic one.
Classic one, yeah.
And then, okay, that's a nice question from West. What's the biggest lesson you learned from your dad?
The biggest lesson I learned from my dad. He always says in German it's Radfahren kommt von Radfahren, which actually just means like riding your bike comes from riding your bike. And I told this once in my own podcast in his last year, for example, and he stopped in 2008. He did he didn't do it, but he was very close. I think he did 49,700 kilometers. So he nearly cracked the 50,000 kilometers a year. And if you, like for me, if you go on or if you just want to, I think that's like more than 200K a day, 1 year long. And this just shows how much he loves cycling. So you can imagine when little Rick comes in the 2014 and turns professional, and I'm telling him, but I'm just training 3 hours now because we're training much more intensive. Yeah. He's just like, yeah. Back in the days, we really trained. You don't know what training is. So, and it was like that. Like, for sure, I can tell you, I'm always in better shape if I do 4, 5, or 6 hours than training 2 or 3 hours. Even if I train intensive, my body reacts better on 6 hours slow training. So yeah, this is something I had to learn from him for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned something I just thought was quite interesting. You have your own podcast, Planet Z.
Yeah, Planet Z. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's in German, and for all the German listeners, obviously, it's really cool, and you should really go and listen to this. It's quite interesting. How did this come? How did this come along that you started your own podcast? And is it all about cycling, or what's the story?
It's about cycling and as well about my personal life, I would say. Of course, I have cyclists as my guest, and then it's not about me. It's more about the guest. And then I have episodes where my dad or my best friend is invited, and then we are talking about our personal story. So, or my girlfriend was also a guest already 2 times. So then you can listen to my daily life, and when my girlfriend gets mad and because I'm not cleaning up the kitchen and stuff. So it's really like from professional cycling about a cyclist at home, a boring or a lazy cyclist at home. And the reason why I'm doing this podcast is that I had the feeling that about a lot of things what are happening in my life and also in the world of cycling, that I have interesting thoughts and I have a lot to tell. And I just said, okay, no other guy is doing it, so yeah, why not me? And I always like people also who drop statements, like who, if they see something what they don't like, they put the finger up and they say, guys, that's not okay. And that's also a reason why I'm doing the podcast, because cycling, professional cycling, is still not that professional how it maybe looks from the outside.
Yes.
And, especially the UCI, in my mind, they are doing a lot of mistakes, and cycling could be much more interesting for fans than other people.
Yeah.
So these are things I tell in my podcast. I don't really care if someone is angry about me afterwards or if I get in trouble, because like I said, if it makes me angry, I want to talk about it. Yes. And I don't want to swallow it down.
Okay. I was listening, and if somebody can speak German from this, it's really, I would really encourage you. I thought it was interesting. I was listening to an episode with Jens Vogt, and he had a good idea with the UCI, which you just mentioned. He said, okay, he wants to have a gray color jersey for the oldest rider. He thought it was a bit unfair that it's only people with the youngest rider get awarded, but he was obviously a rider who was riding a long time in his career. And so he thought, okay, he would have like a gray jersey, which I thought was quite a cool idea. I have another question, which is your ideal. Do you change the setup of your bike for a Roubaix to a Tour de France setup for longer stages, or you keep your setup all the way the same?
I'm keeping my setup always. Sometimes, like now the last years was when I was riding on a Canyon, I did all my races on that Canyon Airboat bike, no matter if it was a Tour de France mountain stage or Paris-Roubaix. When I was in my first team in BMC, it was different because they had a special Paris-Roubaix frame. So of course, then we were using that frame for Paris-Roubaix. But I'm a fan of keeping the same setup. Yeah.
And you have now a new bike. I think there was a new bike there a few days ago. I looked on Instagram. You got a gravel bike now, and I think today you used the gravel bike for the first time, or one of the first times.
Yeah. It was exactly. I bought a Factor gravel bike, and like I mentioned before, after 8 weeks in lockdown, it gets a little bit boring doing always the same routes around your house. So I bought this gravel bike now, and today I did my first ride, and I really enjoyed it because it's like I'm riding in a new town now because I'm riding through forests and fields, and it's a completely different feeling of cycling, and it's just nice to do something else.
This is something different. Yes, no. Is there something on your bucket list you want to achieve? Let's say anything out of cycling, or any race you really dearly want to win?
My biggest goals are not in cycling, I guess. I for sure I'm happy over every year I can stay in the sport in the world tour. Like I think I'm now in my 7th season, so I want to do at least 10 seasons in the first division. That would be nice. But even then, I'm just 29, so I can ride my bike for more years. But I really, the normal life is really interesting, and I'm already thinking about my career after my career, for example. Okay. So having my own little bike coffee shop with a nice bike shop in Cologne. That would be something I like.
Okay.
Yeah, this where I can do little bit like a cool place where you sell cool bike stuff, as well as having a cool coffee shop, and in the evening you can do a live podcast, for example, in front of 50 people. That would be something I would like to enjoy. Yeah.
So if we come next time to Dubai, I take you around and I show you what we've done.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Very good. Is there any question in a talk show you've been maybe on many times on an interview? Is there any question you always wanted to be asked and nobody ever asked you?
I think it's more a question what I like to ask my dad, because since I'm young, every time, or I think in every interview I gave so far, there was this question: how is it to be the son of Andre Zabel? So I would like to turn it around and would just ask, how is it to be the dad of Rick Zabel? I think this should be from now on the question people should ask my dad. That would be pretty funny, I think.
Very good. I send him the copy. Yeah, we have it on YouTube. I send it to him, and I think then we hopefully get an answer, and we post this answer in the comments below. Very good. How is it to be the son of a famous cyclist? Yeah, that's good. I like that. Is there anything? Do you have a party trick? Do you have any unusual skill? Anything where you impress some people? Anything?
I wouldn't call it a party trick. I think what I heard a lot in my life so far is that I'm the fastest eater. Like, it's ridiculous. Like when I'm meeting with friends on a dinner, and if I'm not concentrating on eating slow,
yeah,
my plate is finished and they took 3 spoons, for example. So then I'm sitting around and waiting for the others to finish. So I'm eating super fast.
Is this going back to boarding school?
Yeah, for sure. When you just get one bowl of pasta, you needed to be fast to get something, for sure.
Okay, I get a question. My wife just said she thinks I can eat faster than you. Maybe we have to make a fast eating competition, because I'm always under stress, and my family as well. I'm finishing everything, and then they always, because then I'm starting to pick in their plates, and that is really annoying. So I'm a fast eater as well. Yeah, good. So maybe we go one evening. We have more time to talk, I think we want to talk, and that's why we have to eat quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. I have a few quick questions, and we're coming to the end. Just a few things. I will give you some options, and you can tell me what you think about it. So about socks, you wear long socks or short socks?
Long socks.
Chamois cream, yes or no?
No.
Tattoos, do you have tattoos? I saw on your arm.
Yeah.
How many, and where are they? What are they?
I have quite a lot. I think
okay.
I'm pretty unusual to other cyclists. I have a lot. I can't count them anymore. For sure, more than 20.
Okay, very cool. Anything special? Anything you did for a special event?
I mean, I did. Every tattoo has a story, a reason, like, and a story. But maybe the one I can show. Yeah, it's this one.
Yes.
This is like this is the
R.
Now it's like a monogram.
Yes.
It's the name of my mom, and I designed it myself. So every line which was tattooed is one letter, and I like it because when people look at it, they don't really understand what it is, and when I explain it to them, they make like that makes sense. It was really clever. So I like that. Yeah.
Very nice. If you race by the power meter. You look at your numbers a lot, or you race by feeling?
No, I don't look at the numbers, by feeling.
Feeling. I had actually the question, Mario Cipollini or Andre Zabel? I had it on the list. Sure.
That's a good question. Yeah, I told you already, I like Cipollini a lot. Yeah.
Cipollini. Okay, and when it comes to clothes, you wear shorts and jersey or one piece?
in training, always shorts and jerseys, because for me that's more comfortable and I like it more. But when we start racing, of course, it's about the performance, and then I'm using a suit.
Shaving your legs only during race season or as well off season?
Only in race season.
Okay. Who is the greatest cyclist ever?
The greatest cyclist ever. That's
For you, obviously.
That's a hard one, but I would really say for me personal, it's really my dad, because
nice.
We are so different in our character, and on a human side, I cannot understand my dad. Like, he's crazy for me. But when I'm not a human, when I'm just a cyclist, I have the biggest respect for him, like how he's living this passion cycling. Like, his life is cycling. Like, I think at home he has, I don't know, more than 100 bikes, and he can do everything. Like, when we talked before, when I got my new bike, I went with the car to his place and we built the bike up together, because he's not just riding his bike, he also knows how to build up bikes. He knows everything about cycling, and he's watching every race on TV. So I have a lot of respect how much he loves cycling, and how crazy he is about cycling. But like I said, when I'm not a cyclist and just a normal person, a human, I think also that he's a little bit crazy.
I like that.
If that makes sense, yeah.
Yes. You like weather rather warm or cold?
I don't really care. I can ride in every weather, but of course, if it's super hot or super cold, it's both not nice, but I can ride in every weather.
And the wind is your friend or your enemy?
It depends from which direction it comes.
Yeah, I think it's quite amazing. Obviously, everybody knows on a bicycle that headwind is a tough thing, but sidewind is a tough thing. But yeah, I think the wind really, you have to make it your friend in a way, because you can't change it anyway. So yeah. I think it's deciding races.
What I always what is always funny to me is that when I come home, for example, and I talk with my girlfriend about my training day, and I explain her, I had headwind or I had tailwind in the beginning, but I didn't really realize it. And then I turned back and I realized I have headwind. So it was really a bad day. And she's just laughing and she don't understand it. And then I always say, it's crazy how much more important wind plays a role in my life than in yours, because I don't think she ever woke up and looked from which direction the wind comes or how strong the wind is. She don't give a fuck where the wind comes from. And as a cyclist, you're really like, the wind comes from this direction. It's great.
And you choose your route accordingly, then you first go. Very good.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite quote or favorite saying?
Favorite quote. In my last podcast, I used a quote which I really liked. It was from Juice WRLD. That's a rapper. Unfortunately, he died last year. He was just 21 years old. But he said, find something in your life that you really like. And if you have a passion, you never have to work in your life. Like, it's always fun. And even if it seems impossible, it's very, very possible to do that. And that's a quote I really like. It's a little bit cheesy, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. If you sing karaoke, is it Rammstein or Nena?
Rammstein, for sure.
Rammstein. Is it espresso or cappuccino?
Espresso.
Is it rather fine dining or burger?
Burger.
If you go for holidays, is it mountain or beach?
Beach.
And on the beach, you wear Speedos or shorts?
Shorts.
The last movie you enjoyed?
Last movie I enjoyed. I don't really know, but my favorite movie is Inception.
Okay. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Exactly, and the regisseur is Christopher Nolan, and it's the movie just plays trick with your mind, and I really like that.
Very good. And if you have popcorn, you have it sweet or salty?
Salty.
Salty. Very good. So one last question I have is, if you could spend one day with a person dead or alive, who would that be?
I think that would be. It's hard, but I think it would be Kurt Cobain, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yes.
I think it would be Kurt Cobain, yeah, because it was a little bit in front of my time, of course. I was just born then, but I really like the music, and also just all the story about him, and I think he was a very inspirational guy. And actually, I would change my quote. You just asked me.
Yes.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. This is the last sentence he wrote in the letter to his girlfriend or wife when he died. So I think that's a better quote. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Very good. Okay, that's cool. That's a good quote to end our talk. Yeah, very cool. I think we have to exchange some playlists. I think we're with Nirvana and Rammstein. I think we have some matches here. So that's really good. Yeah, thank you. Hey, Rick, thank you so much. I think it was really a great insight into your cycling career, and obviously there's so much more to come, and we're really looking forward to see you back on the bike and see you back in Dubai, back in Abu Dhabi and everywhere, and obviously back in all the races, hopefully soon to come. Is Tour de France on your list for this year?
Normally I should do the Giro d'Italia, so no Tour de France, but I guess now everything is changed anyway. And my start of the season was pretty good in Australia and the UAE Tour, so the team was very happy with me. So if I can do once more the Tour de France, I would be happy about that for sure.
Okay, that would be great if we can see you there. I just want to remind, we have another talk on Monday, and this time it's not a cyclist. We're speaking to Anthony McCrosnan, and it's interesting. I'm sure it will be exciting when you hear his voice, because he is the voice of British cycling. He's the commentator of lots of professional events. He was commentating Dubai Tour, UE Tour, Giro Italia, many Milan-San Remo for the British television. And we invited him to speak to us because I think he has, I'm sure, a lot of knowledge about the sport and all the cool stories he has to tell. So that's on Monday at 7 in Dubai. So thank you, Rick. Thanks for the time, and we wish you all the best. And we wish you all the best as well with the podcast. That's really, really cool. And looking forward to see you soon again. And regards to your father.
Yeah, I will do. Thanks for being a guest.
Thank you very much, Rick. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Oh.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.